Welcome to Childcare Rockstar Radio. I am your host, Kris Murray. Childcare leaders around the globe are breaking through challenges, leading the way in innovation, testing new best practices, and impacting children and families in a much more powerful and positive way than ever before. Each week, join me for interviews with early childhood leaders and experts that will leave you inspired to become the next childcare rockstar. Now, let's go. This is episode 214 of Childcare Rockstar Radio, featuring Ashanti Ordone. Oh boy, guys, I have got a good one for you today. We recorded this episode when Ashanti was a Childcare Rockstar finalist, getting ready to get on the stage in Atlanta at the summit and present her story. And of the 4 finalists, Miss Ashanti brought the house down. And yes, she won the 2025/26 Childcare Rockstar Award. And so isn't it fitting that she is my guest here today on the podcast? Just in a moment, you're going to meet Ashanti, and I cannot wait to share with you her story as I interview her about how she created a school with her mom, starting out in a home daycare. And within just a few months' time, they expanded into a center. One of the fastest expansion stories I've ever heard. And she found herself after a while, as many of you guys do, with a broken culture, a culture of disempowered teachers who were kind of just clocking in, clocking out, and not really engaged at all in the school. And so she dove in through her membership with the Academy and through her implementation of learning all the things to do for intentional leadership and empowered leadership, inspiring leadership. She fixed her broken culture. And she talks about that today on the podcast. So we're going to dive all into that and get to know her story. Before we do that, let me tell you that this episode of Childcare Rockstar Radio is brought to you by Illumin. Illumin is the world's first AI-powered childcare management software, trusted by over 3,000 childcare centers across the world. Tim Selden, president of the Montessori Foundation, says if there's a childcare software as reliable as my Mac, it's Illumin. So if you're ready to grow your operations, increase parent engagement, and be future ready, check out Illumin, powered by AI, built for childcare. And you can check that out at illumin.app. That's ILLUMINE.app. So I hope that you're doing well here in early November. This episode actually releases on my birthday. And I'm very proud to announce that my book has been launched. I launched it at the summit, my business memoir, so to speak, my journey of building childcare success from nothing. Just an idea, just an inspiration, just a moment in yoga class where I got a call, a message, if you will. And so the book is behind me. If you're watching this on YouTube, here in my office, The Antidote to Fear is the name. And it has been getting great reviews, and people have been buying it left and right on Amazon. So I'm very, very grateful. So if you want to pick up a copy today, just go to Amazon.com and type in The Antidote to Fear by Kris Murray. And thank you so much. Ashanti Ordone is the co-founder of Gifted and Talented Academy in Indiana. And you're going to learn about her story, highlights of her journey, her challenges that she's overcome, marketing and leadership strategies, how she recrafted and rebuilt her culture to make it rock solid. And her core values were a huge cornerstone of that. And I talk about core values in my book, and I talk about it all the time with people and from stage, because I don't think there's anything more important as a cornerstone, a foundational element to your culture than core values that you actually live and breathe, and you hire to, you fire to, and you manage and lead to. And all of your team knows the rules of the playbook at your school. So we're going to dive all into that. Ashanti is in the process of opening her 3rd location. I think it's open now, but she was literally having it be opened while she was on the podcast / at Summit. So way to go, Ashanti. She's serving nearly 500 children across 3 locations. and is our crowned reigning rock star. So let's meet Ashanti Ordone without any further ado here on the podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Let's go. Welcome, everybody. I am very excited today to introduce you to my guest. Her name is Ashanti Ordone. Ashanti, how are you today?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic as well. Thanks for being here. I'm very excited to talk to you today. Where are you right now?
I'm in my home office in Fishers, Indiana. Fishers is a little suburb of Indianapolis. And I just got back from Munich last night from a family reunion there. And fun fact, we actually just opened our third location on Monday while I was in Europe.
Wow. Who does that? That's crazy. I love that.
But I mean, it says something about the leadership team that we built that I was, of course, I didn't plan to be gone when our third center opened.
Right.
But the timeline got pushed back. The painters were 12 days off schedule and we had families enrolled. And so rather than continue to push it back, we opened. And like I said, I think it's a testament to our leadership team that we were still able to open. And while I was away.
Yes. And while you were even away internationally.
International, exactly. Different time zone, a little bit.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that. So we're definitely going to dive into that. Okay. Congratulations. Big deal. Opening your third school is a big deal. So congrats.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Did you guys have any Oktoberfest activity over there?
Yes, ma'am.
Nice.
So my uncle lives there and his name is Ernie. Okay. And whenever he would come to the States, we'd have a big family reunion and call it Ernfest. And so we now build our family reunions in Germany, in Munich, during Oktoberfest so that we can have Ernfest during Oktoberfest.
Okay. I love that. And he's in his 90s.
He's 91. Yes.
Uncle Ernie. Yeah. Fantastic. So tell us a little bit more about your early learning business. What is the name of it? I forget if you just shared that name. You've got 3 locations. So just tell us a little bit more about the ins and outs of your capacities and how many, kids you got enrolled or anything you want to share.
Sure. So we are Gifted and Talented Academy. We are family owned and family focused. So we started in 2002 as a home daycare. My mom and I started it together, and within like 3 months, we had a wait list of 20 children. So we moved to a center within 3 months of opening our home daycare center. Yeah, it was really fast. And then from there, we continued to grow. We added on to that location to increase capacity to 100 children. And then in 2013, we opened our second location, which we call, so we have our first location is east. Our second location is north with a capacity of about 140 children. And then we just opened our south location on Monday with a capacity of about 220. So when all said and done, we'll have space for about 450 children.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Love that. Very cool. What,
really about it.
Yeah, 220. That's not a small operation.
Correct. Yeah. And we're founded in family, fueled by learning, and focused every child's future. So it just kind of tells you a little bit about who we are and what we do.
Okay, good. And is your mom still working with you in the business?
No, sadly, my mom passed away in 2002.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. But she is absolutely my why. She is the reason that family and education are so important to me.
Yeah.
We actually graduated from Indiana University Mother's Day weekend of 1997. She graduated on Saturday with a doctorate in education. I graduated that Sunday on Mother's Day with my law degree.
That's pretty special.
Thanks. Yeah, it really is, and I think it just shows the legacy that she leaves. That family's huge for us, and then also education has always been one of our core values. My personal core value, and also, of course, one of the core values for our centers.
Yeah. So, what I know about you that I can just tell from you sharing that is that somebody who is willing to leap in from home to center within 3 months is somebody who can be fearless or can follow their feeling or follow their calling, because most folks, I think you're the fastest that I've ever talked to in terms of going from home to center. And probably at least 60% of the people on this podcast have gone from home to center. So yeah, the fact that she had a doctorate and you have your law degree and you're both highly educated, you both have each other's backs, your mother-daughter team, powerhouse team, and that probably had something to do with it. But tell me a little bit, like, take me back to that moment when you decided to make that leap. Were you kind of like looking in the mirror going, am I nuts? Like, just take me back there. How did you guys make that leap so fast?
You mean the leap from home to center, or the leap
Yes.
from practicing law to childcare?
Well, there's that too. Let's go from home to center first, and then I want to hear about the other one as
Okay.
well.
So home to center, it was really, I don't, it was really just we've got something here. We see that we've got something good here, that people
Mm-hmm.
really want what we are offering children and what we're offering families, that parents really need this service. And I didn't know it at the time, but what we were doing was unique. And it's that blend of family, creating a home away from home with a really strong emphasis on early education. So, really looking at, we know that children learn in utero, that, learning begins before birth. And so we capitalized that on that and said, well, we're not a daycare. And even though we're in a home, we are teaching these babies. We are, actually working with the infants. We're actually working with the toddlers. So my mom, her doctorate was in curriculum and instruction. So she actually wrote a curriculum for the infant group, the 0 to 3 months and the 3 to 6 months. And she wrote a curriculum for the toddlers. So I think what we were doing was unique and different, and we didn't really know it at the time. And that hearing from families that there was no other place like ours is what gave us the courage and the confidence to move from a home to a center so quickly.
Mm-hmm. That's really special that your mom had that gift and touched the families where you are in that way. And yeah, it's like combining this beautiful high quality component with, because I don't know many schools or childcare programs that have an infant curriculum. And I've been in many. Not many have one. And so just that alone is really special and unique. And then combining it with the family component and the home away from home component is really special. So thank you for sharing that. That's a super amazing highlight of your journey. And then tell me a little bit about the going from law to early childhood. What spurred that on?
You know, I have always loved working with children, and my dad was a lawyer. So I thought I wanted to be a lawyer like my dad. I had an opportunity right out of law school, even though I'll say this, in law school, I always said, I'm never going to practice law. I'm not sure why I went, except to be like my dad, but I always said, I'm never going to practice law. I just want a law degree. But I graduated from law school, I passed the bar, and I had this amazing opportunity to start my own practice basically right out of law school. And so I had help. I had a mentor who I knew through the legal community who said, hey, come join me. You can build your own practice. You can be my associate and work for me, and I'll help you build your practice. And so she did. And within 2 years, she paid my rent. She gave me access to her paralegal, took me to court, showed me the ropes. And she happened to be a family law attorney. And so within 2 years, I had to kind of start backing away and building my own independence because I had a client load and I wasn't able to still help her. So like I said, built my own practice and loved helping families. I did a lot of custody, a lot of child support.
Mm.
I secured one of my proudest moments as a lawyer, securing guardianship for a grandmother who was trying to get custody of her grandson, and it was definitely the right thing to do. So we won that case. But it was during that hard gut wrenching case that I realized I didn't want to be just an advocate for children. I wanted to work with them and have more of an impact on shaping their daily lives.
Hmm.
And like work, I say not work for them, but work with them. And
Hmm.
so that's really what helped me make the leap from family law to early education.
Yeah. Do any of those family law um, skills, knowledge base, does that ever help you in situations that you might find yourself in today?
I would say yes and no. So maybe not the family law piece of it, but definitely just having that legal training, I think helped
Yes.
a lot.
Hmm.
I did not, I haven't followed the traditional route of an early childhood entrepreneur. And I also haven't followed that traditional route of being an entrepreneur, business owner, someone who's maybe gone to business school,
Hmm.
took a business class in my entire life. But I think that that combination of just that core value of education, growing up with a mom who is an educator, and having a passion for young children combined with the legal training is what helps me to be successful in business.
Yeah, for sure. Love that. Thank you. What is your home life like? Tell us more about what's going on at home. If you have any kids hanging out at home still, or what's doing, and what are some of your hobbies?
Yeah, so I have an amazing husband, Terrence, who
Okay.
is actually a business partner now. He joined the business when we opened the second location. And then we have two young adult sons. So my oldest son, Mason, is 22, and he is pursuing a master's in marriage and family counseling. And then my younger son, Carson, is a sophomore at Indiana University. He was pursuing a degree in business and wants to be an entrepreneur, but he's kind of following the pre-law track, believe it or not. So he may actually he may actually go to law school. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, your kids are 1 year behind my kids, and I have two, and you have two. So I'm right there with you.
Yes.
Um, I've got, I guess, just under 2 years left till Maeve graduates. So then we'll see what happens. But if yours goes to law school, you might have a little bit longer.
Yes. Yeah. And I will just say I love this phase of having young adults. It's
Yeah.
it's a lot more fun, right?
Yes.
Having starting to be able to create a friendship with your children.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with you. I think this phase, a lot of, moms have trepidation and sadness when it comes to more of that empty nest phase. One's in college, one's up and out. But I've been really enjoying it as well. I've been loving it. And I feel like I appreciate them more when they're home versus being in the day to day thick of it. And especially when they're, between 15 and 18, it can be a lot. So yeah, I'm enjoying it as well. So thanks for sharing that. So in addition to traveling to Germany and elsewhere, is there anything else that is on your bucket list or anything else is a joy that you enjoy doing?
Traveling is absolutely my number one hobby. The number one thing in life that brings me joy. We travel a lot together as a family. So my husband and I travel together, and then for Christmas every year we go away with our sons. I'm a beach lover. I love exploring new beaches. What else do I enjoy? Right now, I'm in a season where it's mostly about travel. Oh, and
Yeah.
I enjoy spending time with my friends. I actually have a really great group of friends in our neighborhood. We've lived in the same neighborhood since 2011. And I would say there's probably a group of about 15 of us, and we get together on a regular basis. And we say in our neighborhood, there's always something to do. It's like being on that college campus where there's always something to do. So every night it seems like someone's having like a wine night or, let's go sit on the back porch. And so that's something
Right.
I really enjoy doing.
That's great. I love that. Do you recall how you heard about me, or how did you and I start working together?
Absolutely. It was 2019, and quite honestly, we were struggling business wise. It was actually late 2018 that we were struggling business wise. And I went to the NACCE convention. It was in Washington, D.C. I went searching for something. I didn't know what, but at the time we didn't have parent engagement, an app. We used ProCare, but that was probably the only software, the only automation or software that we had. And I think having opened the second location, and both locations were pretty close to full enrollment, but I was really struggling just with managing the day to day of the business.
Mm.
The culture was poor, quite honestly. Staffing was terrible. We had awful turnover. And so I went to NACCE looking for help. And it seemed like every booth I went to, they said, "Do you know Chris Murray? Do you know Chris Murray?" And of course, I thought Chris Murray was a male because I thought they were.
Of course.
I went to the child care, I think it was child care marketing company at the time. I went to the child care marketing booth, and that's where I met Tamina. And Tamina shared her story with me, and she hugged me, and I was just in tears, because it was the first time I realized I wasn't alone.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
yeah, and so she shared her story. I shared my pain points, and she got me connected with the Child Care Success Academy. I got on a call the next week, and we joined immediately.
Right. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. So then the following January, because usually the NACC conference is in November, do you know if you went to the Academy Mastermind meeting or sometime in that? Oh, then COVID hit.
So no, so that was end of 2018 is when I met
Okay.
Mina. So we joined then, and then the first mastermind was January, and I think it was in Clearwater.
Hmm.
And my husband Terrence went. I flew down with him, but I had a girls' trip planned. So I flew down with him, went for like a day, and then I went on the girls' trip the rest of the time, and he stayed and went to the all the mastermind meetings.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was the next one that you went to, but I wanted to ask you, when you came to a mastermind meeting and then you came home, and a lot of times in that first year it can be like um trying to drink through a fire hose, right? So, do you recall anything that you implemented? You were working on culture, you were working on leadership and staff turnover and engagement. So, do you recall anything that you did in that first year that made a big difference for you?
So the first mastermind that I fully attended was in April, and it was in San Diego in 2019. And I remember we had a very toxic director. And I think the best advice I got was actually from Tamina. And she helped me see that the director was not a fit for our mission, vision, and values. And we didn't even have core values at the time.
Right.
It was clear that that person was not a fit for our mission, vision, and values.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other thing that I learned at that academy meeting was if you have to ask the question, you probably already know the answer. And so, those two things really stuck with me. I came back from that mastermind and terminated that director. And we immediately started the process of working on our core values. We immediately started working on our culture. And I would say, I really want to say that it was something like enrollment boot camp or knowing my numbers or one of those strategies. But honestly, for me, I think the biggest game changer that first year was focusing on our core values and really starting to turn our culture around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a huge one. And I love that you said that. Um, with the leadership team and trying to develop a leadership team, because at that point you had just opened your second location, it sounds like. That's when you really start looking at how am I going to scale this so that I can manage two locations running 100, 240 kids. And I don't know how many staff you probably had, 30 or 40 teachers or employees. And you can just be driven. I mean, you can be, if you don't scale and you don't develop that leadership team to a set of core values and a commonly believed in culture, you can't scale, and you're just going to continue being on this roller coaster ride. So I love that you said that and that you implemented that. I'm sure it was hard to let go of that director, but you did it and probably never looked back. So good on you.
Thank you. And I do want to say this. What's funny is because I was afraid of terminating the director.
Mm.
Um, and I had reason to be. She ended up taking pretty much the whole staff. So after I terminated her, let's see, we had two teachers, a director, and a foster grandparent volunteer, plus me.
That's it. That's all that was left standing.
About 70, 80, 90 children and four staff members.
Wow. So then what did you do?
So we pulled some people from the other location. We hired like crazy. We worked in the classrooms, and Natalie. Natalie is still with me now. She was an assistant director at the time. I promoted her to director,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to work. We would we did interviews in classrooms, and we hired like crazy until we had a team. But we from that moment on, we were very careful to hire a team based on our culture and not just to have a warm body.
Yeah. So you said about creating intentional culture building, intentional leadership.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And within a few months of that time, we actually did craft our core values. And we have been hiring for culture fit and core values ever since that time.
Mm-hmm. And have you always been gifted and talented academy, or did you ever go through a brand change?
So we've always been gifted and talented academy. We just rebranded in terms of our logo and our tagline and like our colors and things like that.
Uh-huh. And you use Grow Your Center,
We
right?
do.
For that,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Huge. Grow Your Center has been instrumental. I think we added them in late 2019 or maybe 2020.
yeah, awesome. So, in terms of team engagement and looking at your schools, and now that the third school has just opened, and how you do your team building, onboarding, training, mentorship, professional development, like how does that look different today? What are some things that you maybe implemented or feel proud of how it looks today versus how it looked in 2020?
That's a great question. Everything we do is based on our core values. So I think once we put those in place and really started taking the time to work through what each one means. So our core values are family, education, respect, excellence, and fun.
Cool.
And so we really spent time saying, okay, what does excellence look like?
Right.
Can be hard for someone like me. I'm a perfectionist. So I think perfection. Nope, that's not excellence. Excellence is giving your best effort every day. And
Hmm.
best effort, may look better on one day than the other, depending on what you're dealing with in your life.
Hmm.
And that's okay. So we have crafted interview questions around our core values. We actually, at one point, I we started having teachers help with the interview process so they could, and this is something we did when we were struggling with staffing back in 2020, when all those teachers left. We got teachers involved in the interview process so that they could help us find other people who fit in our family. If family is one of our core values, then you have to fit in this family. And that doesn't mean that you wouldn't be a great teacher at the center down the street. It just means you might not be the best fit for our family. Um, and so that's one thing that's been huge. The other thing is that I'm personally passionate about is pouring into my leadership team, because I see now that pouring into my leadership team on a weekly basis, a regular basis, allows them to pour into their school team. And it makes a difference in terms of engagement, team engagement. I'd say those two things are really big differences since 2020.
Hmm. I love that you shared this because I've worked with a lot of folks who've created their core values, but they still haven't received the cultural shift. And the difference is that you truly are living and breathing them. You took it all the way through the fabric. You said you went deep on each core value and you made sure that you were hiring and letting go of, and then developing, I'm sure, each staff member to that set of core values. And so I love putting it in the interview questions, putting it in your onboarding, putting it in even on the walls of your school. I don't know if you have anything either, on merch or in your break room or whatever. And I think getting the parents involved too, like showing the parents on tours and explaining to them that this is an intentional culture that is the fabric of our school. And we really take it seriously. And like, this is how we take it. This is how we live and breathe it, and the parents will be like, oh. And so I think all of that, if somebody's listening to this podcast and they hear you and they go, well, I have core values, but it's not really making that big of a difference. It's because they haven't gone deep enough, I feel, to really, do these nuances that make the big difference in the living and breathing of.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not, I mean, they are words on the back of our shirts. So when we see each other, we see those core values. They are words on a wall, but it's so much more than that.
Hmm.
It's amazing now to hear teachers speak our core value language. And really it's second nature. You know, you hear them talking to the children about respect and saying, a pre-K teacher may be saying, I don't like the way you took care of that toy. You did not show respect for our classroom. You didn't show respect for your classmates because this toy belongs to all of us in our classroom. And so, yeah, it is really knowing and believing in the core values yourself as a leader and ensuring that they are a part of every conversation you have, whether it's with a new parent, a new lead on the phone during the tour, during an interview. I ask interview questions even during a phone interview about values and core values. And then, like you said, the interview questions, the onboarding, and in our staff meetings. So we do a core value of the month award. So we do an employee of the month award, but we also pick one core value and we award one team member an award for being an example of that core value for the month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's living and breathing it. I love it. I can't love it more. Ashanti, this is awesome. Really, really good stuff. So, how is your culture today? I mean, that's a silly question because, it's got to be 180 degrees for where it was in late 2018, right?
It is. And you know what I'm really proud of is when a parent says, wow, it's palpable. I can feel it. Or a new teacher, or recently hired a new director because I promoted a director to a new role. And so I had to hire a new director. And she was just like, I can't believe the culture I'm walking into. This is amazing. And so because she, of course, has a long history of working in other childcare centers, she can feel the difference. And it's important to her to spend time continuing to build on the work that we've already done, because
Mm-hmm.
she wants to be the person that helps that culture grow. Excellence again means, like we're a culture of continuous improvement. So we don't settle for where we are right now. Our culture is amazing, but culture is living and breathing, and so we're always working on it, and we're always striving to make it better.
Good stuff. So, what are you looking forward to? What are you working on for the remainder of 2025 and into 26? Of course, you've got this beautiful brand new third location that just opened. But regardless, what's on your horizon?
So, I guess I want to be really transparent here and talk about the struggles that we're facing as providers, um, because that's kind of what I'm working on right now. Is in Indiana, we just actually starting this Monday, we will receive 10 to 35% in cuts for our voucher children. And I think providers all over the country are struggling with enrollment.
Mhm.
So our enrollment is not as high as it was I mean, just a few months ago, we were really close to full enrollment. And we're at a place now where it's not bouncing back as quickly as it usually does in the fall. And so we're spending a lot of time just focusing on growing our enrollment. And then, yeah, like you said, that third location is the new baby. It's the infant of the family. And so we're
Mhm.
spending a lot of time focusing on growing enrollment there too.
Mhm. So there's a lot of market forces that are at work. We talked about this at our last mastermind meeting in Seattle. And some markets are more challenged than others. It's almost like the field of early learning is going through its own little, maybe not little, recession, um, or shift, market shift. And but it's hard to understand because the rest of the United States and world isn't necessarily going through what looks like a recession. Like they're not calling it that. People aren't necessarily losing jobs. Employment is stable. But the face of childcare is changing in a lot of states. And like you said, as far as subsidies, universal pre-K, lots of different dynamics, parent perceptions, parents having fewer children. So yeah, it's tricky to navigate right now. So thank you for being transparent and bringing it up because we keep talking about it. And I'm going to be doing a big marketing session and also a mindset session at the summit next week that you and I are going to both be at. Very excited about that. And it's trying to get folks, believing in your marketing and believing that if we continue to do out of the box, cool, fun, engaging marketing and showing the social proof and the case studies of the children in our care and talking to parents about how we're helping children in ways that are different than our competitors, whatever it still has to be the thing that connects us to those prospective parents and gets the enrollment, and then getting our teams to buy into all of those ways to sell our schools to prospects. And so, but it's hard because I just feel like right now everybody feels very beaten down. A lot of people do. And so I think it's harder. Maybe right now it feels harder to rally everyone. We're in the fall. We should be getting pretty, like you said, it feels like it's slower. It's come in more slowly. It's sluggish. So there's these interesting energetic factors that are going on. And all I could say is stay the course, because I've seen it cycle and I'll cycle back around and then staffing cycles around. And so it does this dance and it's not easy. But if you just stay focused on your mission, it will come back around.
That's the message I really wanted to make sure that I give also. We know there's going to be troubles. Like we couldn't predict this moment, but we know in life there's always going to be hard moments. There's always going to be troubles. There's always going to be challenges. And I think what makes the difference in those hard moments is number one, your mindset and, preparing for the challenges, embracing the challenges. And when you feed yourself with positive mindset and you really spend time working on your spirituality and your growth mindset, it helps you actually prepare for the challenges, be grateful for them, and work through them.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be transparent because I know, I listen to your podcast, and as I know everyone is pretty much a childcare entrepreneur or director, a childcare leader of some sort that listens. And so
Mm-hmm.
be transparent about where we are in this season, but also piggyback on what you said about stay the course, that people who are successful, and this is what I have learned and what I've seen, they're the ones who are constantly feeding themselves with positive mindset. They're working on small habits. They're building consistency. And over time, those will add up. And we know that if you just keep working and you keep plugging and you don't give up,
Mm-hmm.
season will change and it will get better. And we will come out of this stronger than ever.
Yeah, 100%. And I think surrounding yourself with talented people that believe in your mission on your leadership team is a huge piece of it, because when you lose steam as the CEO or owner, you depend on the people reporting to you to help prop each other up, but also bringing innovation of looking across different industries and looking across different markets in ECE and saying, what's working? Oh, let's go tour some schools in, I don't know, Kansas or California and learn and see what we can do that people in Indiana aren't doing right now or whatever, but just staying at the forefront, testing new things, trying different things, looking across to different industries like restaurants or other service industries and going, oh, that's cool. Let's try that. Or, and that's how I stayed, at the forefront, trying to build a 7-figure business and grew the team was like, and how I energized myself. Because some days it would feel really hard and bleak. And tiring and exhausting and fall out of love with my business. But at some point, I would do something that would help me get excited to fall back in love with it again.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other thing is having a tribe, having a group of people who know you, who understand you, people you can be vulnerable with,
Mhm.
and who will help you and be that support outside of your leadership team that you're building, but another group that you can identify with, that you can be their support and they can be your support. And that's huge too.
Yeah, for sure. And that is something I was always part of a mastermind group because I found that it definitely helped me energize me and bring new ideas back home to the
Yeah.
team. So love that. So to that point, we're going to be together next week at the Child Care Success Summit. And congratulations for being a finalist in the Rockstar contest. So I can't wait to see you on the stage talking about your story.
Yeah. I'm excited to share it.
Yeah. And so you got a little bit of a sneak peek, guys, here on the podcast today, because Ashanti is going to share her story from stage next week. But this episode will air post summit. So more to come from all of our amazing Rockstar finalists. There are 4 of them. And a new rock star will be crowned, but it's not really about that part of it. To me, it's more about the journey of telling your story and looking back and being proud of all of your accomplishments as part of feeling like, I'm a rock star. I'm standing on the stage and, I kicked ass. So
That's it.
that's
That's
it.
it. It's I would love to win, but for me, it's about sharing my story and honoring the work that we've done and how far we as a team, the Gifted and Talented Academy team, has come.
Yes. And you've impacted thousands of children.
Yes.
So that's really cool. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here today, Ashanti. I really love your energy and your story. And I just appreciate you inspiring the audience today. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's an honor. I'm grateful to have the opportunity.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in today. This was a great one. And I really appreciate everybody taking the time to be part of us here at Child Care Rockstar Radio. We'll see you next time. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye. I hope you liked this episode of Child Care Rockstar Radio. If you did, please leave a review and share it with someone you know to help spread the word to friends in our industry and on social media. Childcare business success is my passion, and I'm honored to be on this journey with you. As a thank you for listening, I've got a new video training that shows you how to add 6 figures or more of new revenue to your program in the next 60 days by improving your hiring and your enrollment systems. To watch my new video, just go to www.fixmyschool.com. That's fixmyschool.com. Thanks. Take care and God bless.